Welcome back to Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones. Last time we had, well, two characters turn traitor because I guess Selena hasn't turned traitor yet. But anyway, we now have Dussel, one of the Imperial, well, the Imperial 6 now, but one of the 3 good generals on our side now. This time, the chapter's name should make it pretty obvious what we're going to be fighting. So our next destination is across this pretty small area of sea. But firstly, one thing to mention. This is exactly like Erica Chapter 11, in that once we go out to this next destination, we'll be facing Chapter 11 and then 12 back-to-back without a chance to go back to the world map. So if you want to stock up on items, do it now. Speaking of which, the shops are actually selling new things this time. So I'm going to go ahead and check the shop first. Because let's see, yeah, loot might need to... Actually, a fire term's alright, but yeah, they're selling Fire, Thunder, Flux now, which we don't have any way of needing, Unlock, chest keys, Elixirs, although they're pretty expensive, Torches might not be a bad idea to have for this next chapter. Alright, let's see who needs some more weapons. I think Tana does. Firstly, though, let's go ahead and switch some stuff around in the convoy. Let's just go ahead and give that. We're not going to be needing the Restore Staff here, so I'll go and take a Torch Staff, even though Mulder has a fresh Torch Staff there. I think you're okay on weapons. You can just put that secret book there, and let's see. In terms of Lances, I think I'm going to need to buy at least one more for you. You're going to put that in the convoy. Other than that, I think you're okay on weapons. Joshua can go ahead and take that other... Okay, I will take that other Killing Edge, but I'm also going to... this one-use Killing Edge could be useful if it gets a crit, but... you know, I don't see myself needing that Iron Blade anytime soon. I'm going to take the Lance Reaver. The Lance Reaver is going to be pretty helpful in this chapter. As for Ross, you can... there's not really that much you can use. Loot, I think, is... we will be going through 2 chapters. I might as well get another tome for loot. And, oh yeah, Cormag, you can put that in the convoy and go ahead and... I'm going to need to get a Javelin for you. And Dussel can convoy your Knight's Crest. Yeah, it goes directly into his inventory, which is interesting. But, oh yeah, by the way, here's Dussel. I showed his bio already, but this is him in our army now. Although you can obviously recruit him during Chapter 10 if you have Ephraim talk to him, which I showed in bonus footage. With that... Let's see, I'm going to have Tana buy something here. And yeah, they're selling hammers now, although we won't be needing that for actually quite a while. And short bows, which is pretty nice if you're, well, I mean, Naomi is your only bow user at this point, unless you've promoted Ross early, I guess. So if you're using her, those short bows are actually pretty nice. And who else needed something? Oh yeah, Cormag. Yeah, let's go ahead and buy a jet. Not an Iron Axe. Can't even use those in this game at all. And let's get that Javelin, and that should be good for me to head out to the next chapter. But, like I said, we're going to be facing 2 chapters back-to-back. Now, Chapter 11, Ephraim's Route, is actually pretty good for getting experience, because there are large numbers of very, very weak, low-accuracy enemies. So, that's actually pretty good. But... I may want to just take Cormag through one skirmish, even though he's perfectly fine and capable of handling himself, just because Moguls can kinda 2-shot him or 3-shot him, and I might just like to at least get him just a little bit caught up, so I'll see you after this skirmish. This is pretty random, but... Does anyone else think that the fire affinity icon looks more like a sack of coins than it does an actual fire? I don't know, I just always thought that. But anyway, this is what Cormag looks like now. One more thing that I want to do in manage items, though, is I want to go ahead and trade Kyle's Iron Sword over to Colum, because I am going to actually use him in this chapter, so I want him to at least be armed. And then I want to grab that torch. Because you obviously know why. Also, no reason to keep that red gem sitting around my inventory. We can't actually have the convoy itself into the shop, so the only way for me to do that is to actually give the red gem to somebody and have them into the shop personally. Yeah, I like in later games how you can sell things directly out of your convoy. Yeah, so let's go ahead and sell that red gem. Okay, now we should be ready to head out. So, like I said, once you commit here, you're stuck into both 11 and 12 with no opportunity to go back to the world map, but let's go. So, General Tassel has not only joined us, he's informed us of the Dark Stone, which definitely isn't evil in any way, shape, or form. And it seems to have done bad things to Vigard. So, in order to actually confirm its existence, we have to head all the way to Grado's capital. And of course, you know what this means. It's a fog chapter. And probably the most infamous fog chapter in this game, though having practiced it, it's actually not that bad. There's really only one point of difficulty in this chapter. But meanwhile, in Villain Land, we're getting a lot of these scenes now, but I guess this route focuses more on Grado, so that makes sense. Because you were ordered to retreat by you? Granted, I think Volta's pretty much going behind the Emperor's back at this point. Okay, that place sounds pretty ominous. Oh, I heard them talking about the Dragon Stone being nearby. Let's just hope Grado doesn't have any Manichetes with which to actually use this if they find it. Only 2 in the entire world, huh? That is actually a pretty interesting line. We won't really realize the implications of that until much later. So at this point, we probably have a good idea as to what is causing Leon's bouts of coughing. Probably not a good idea to have something called the Dark Stone on you at all times. Well, we gotta do something about this sooner or later, otherwise Selena's going to be slavishly loyal to someone who's clearly lost his mind. But, as is traditional with a lot of Fire Emblem games, we are on a boat, and you know what that means. Wow, this is actually Ephraim's first time on a ship. Although this area of sea is kind of small, it's just a little inlet between 2 peninsulas. So yeah, Ephraim is kind of calm at all times, even in things that he's never done before. However, this conversation is going to be cut short. And it's never a good idea when a ship is following you that's surrounded by fog. A literal skeleton crew, huh? We haven't seen you for a while. So, we get a little bit of, well, not so much backstory, but actual story that this guy is kind of behind some of the monster attacks. So yes, we have a ship chapter. That's kind of obligatory in the series to have at least one of these. But this one is, in this game, you only get one on Ephraim's route, which is kind of interesting. So, we're on our ship, which thankfully doesn't have any enemies on it. It's not like there are, oh, I don't know, 3 Dagons already on your ship at the start of the chapter. Ugh. Still haven't got past that bit in the Echo's post-game, but anyway. So at the moment, we can't really see anything. Even if we move Colum around, we can't see much. We're going to need to rely on torch staves and Colum's own torch. So let's go to the select screen. I'm going to want Colum here just for his extra vision range with the torch, although protecting him from certain flying enemies is going to be a little bit tricky. Definitely want Cormag, because speaking of flyers, you want flyers here. In particular, a strong Pegasus Knight is going to really, really help here. Kyle actually got a level up also in the skirmish just because I wanted to divert a bit of experience away from Cormag so I didn't get too over-leveled. But let's go for Ross. I probably need loot. Franz has no weapons, so I might as well kick him out. I'd actually like to bring Dussel here. So... 2 Torch Staff users is not bad, but then again I have Colum, who's pretty much a Torch Staff in and of himself, so I guess I don't really need Mulder. Although 2 healers is also very useful here, since we're going to be fighting on multiple fronts in this chapter. In fact, on that note, I know we have an extra elixir in the convoy somewhere. Maybe I'll just give that to Cormag. We don't have an extra elixir in the convoy. Ephraim, who did you give yours to? Let me just... I guess you gave it to Franz. Oh well, might as well take that. Got anything more in the way of elixirs here? Oh, we got 1 there. Might as well... I guess Ross could take that. And we have Joshua, right? Yeah, we do, okay. Because his Lance Reaver is going to be pretty useful. So, I like to put Ross and Joshua down here. Loot can kind of go... Actually, having loot up towards the top here is not bad. Because there are going to be lots of Moguls around the top of the map. Now, Moguls are dark magic users, but loot pretty much destroys them anyway. It doesn't really matter. Also, I forgot to buy more tomes for her, but she should be fine. Tana, want her to be up here, definitely. Cormag can be down here. Actually, I kind of like Cormag to be a bit more central. I also like Colum to be a little bit more central. So, it's actually going to take about 3 or so turns for the ship to actually get close to us, so it's not that essential we have our main fighters on the front line just yet. The first few turns are all about flyers. And that should be pretty much what I want to do. So I'm going to save, and then we'll head out to the Phantom Ship. Actually, before that, there's something that I almost forgot, and this is going to cost me money because now I'm already committed into this chapter, but I need to get Ephraim another Iron Lance. There's a very, very good reason for this. Now we can fight. So there's not really that much we can see right off the bat. So I'm going to go ahead and have Colum start lighting up the center to begin with. So yeah, now we can see some gargoyles and some Moguls up here. The Moguls, I'm going to send Tana over here to fight. Because you want to make sure as many of these Moguls suicide themselves into a Pegasus Knight as possible. This chapter has a lot of Moguls, and in large numbers they can easily overwhelm low resistance characters. So they, plus the Gargoyles, are really the main threat here. Because they just love to fly around and pick off your more weakened characters. And here I'm going to make sure that Cormag is out of range of the Mogul, because otherwise he'll take quite a lot of damage due to his terrible resistance. You two aren't going to be much of a threat at this point, so the first few turns aren't going to be very eventful, but then things get really interesting. Going to go ahead and equip the Lance Reaver, because that's going to help fight the Gargoyles. And I guess Luke can go around here, because she can actually fight the Moguls pretty decently well. Despite the weapon triangle advantage they have, she actually does pretty well against them. And now Ephraim and Dussel are going to get ready to rush through the central part of the map. Going to make sure that the Iron Lancers are the ones that Ephraim's mainly using. Actually... Just trying to think who I need on which front. Maybe having Amelia down here is actually okay, and then kind of like having Seth down here too, though, but I might have Seth up here for the moment. And Natasha can pretty much go wherever. At this point, I'm basically just using her torch staff for a little bit more experience. Obviously, I'm not going to really need healing for this point of the chapter, but there are soon going to be some moguls coming from down below. But first, we're going to have to deal with gargoyles. No crit, that's unfortunate, but it's fine. I can finish him off next turn. Next turn's also going to be pretty uneventful, though we'll have a little bit of a sneak preview of what's to come. And, like I said, I like it when these things suicide themselves into Pegasus Knights, because that means less for me to deal with, and that's always a good thing. This is also a pretty good place to get your Pegasus Knights trained up, because there are a lot of moguls for them to fight. So, yep, the enemy ship is getting closer. And whoa, that's a lot of enemies! But here's the secret, most of these enemies are terrible. This chapter is kind of a Zerg rush. Lots and lots of very weak enemies are going to rush you. And we'll talk more about that once we get there, but these archers are annoying. It means you can't just fly Cormac onto the ship and slaughter everything, which otherwise would be very easy to do. So we're going to have Cormac stay here and finish this guy off. Flyers, obviously, very, very useful here to counter the enemy flyers, which are really the main threat of this chapter. It's not this boat, it's the gargoyles and the moguls that are the threats. And now, I know there are some more moguls around here, but I know there are also going to be some more moguls spawning around here, so I'm not really sure where I want to put Tana. Let's see. Well, I know where I want to put Natasha, though, out of range of those gargoyles. Yeah, see, the most annoying part about this chapter is when the gargoyles try and pick off your weakened characters. Is that going to reveal? Not really. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here and put Tana around here, hoping that this will lure... Whoa! Okay, there's one mogul. I really hope there isn't a gargoyle around here. I know there are at least 2 moguls, but I hope there isn't a gargoyle. Speaking of gargoyles, there are a couple down here, and Colum is in range, so he obviously needs to retreat behind the mast here. I've actually had Colum get one-shotted by these gargoyles at least once, so that was obviously pretty bad. Now, would you kindly gain speed? Hey, it worked! Still not going to be enough, but I guess it still kind of worked. And Dussel and Ephraim are going to prepare to charge the enemy. And you still have that equipped. Actually, how much are you guys going to do to Amelia? 17 and 8 defense. I guess we'll just see what they end up doing. Like I said, the first few turns aren't particularly eventful. It's from turn 3 onwards that things get kind of crazy. Now, is Ross going to get doubled here? Yes, he is. That's what you get for using a hand axe. But it's really not that bad. I actually need to have him heal soon. This guy's not going to get a chance. I take that back, he is good. Well, he didn't double anyway, so... But that was very irritating. And, yep, they've readied the planks. We're getting boarded. Yes, they almost met the tip of his lance, except without the almost. So, what Ephraim says here is actually a pretty good way to sum up the tactics you're meant to use in this chapter. A couple of moguls just spawned from down here, so we'll deal with those later. And you didn't even move. Huh. That's kind of annoying. Well, I guess Tana can fly back and take care of these moguls right here. I thought that'd hit. Now, will my good level up streak... Well, I mean, that wasn't a particularly good level up, but at least it was speed. I would have liked strength, but that's okay, I guess. At least you're now capped on speed. suppose Luke can try and fight here. And I'll talk more about what we need to do coming up, but... yeah, these archers are a little annoying. I'm going to need to have Cormag fly back here and stab this guy. Who should have died last turn, except fate decided to be annoying. But the benefit of having a Pirate Ross here is he can actually walk in the water. Which, you know, is a feature of pirates regardless, but still, it helps out here. Because you're restricted to not just the planks. And there is a pretty annoying Entombed and a White over here, so I'm going to be a little bit cautious. In fact, I might keep Colin here for the time being, because now it's time to do this. So, what Ephraim said about pushing them back and taking the ship. That's the main tactic that I like using here. You want these enemies to rush into powerful characters and die in droves. Although this is a decent place to level up because these enemies are all quite weak and generally anyone and their mother can double them. Not the Silver Axe, they're not worth that. But there are going to be some more annoying reinforcements coming later, namely lots of gargoyles and moguls. And our starting ship is not going to be safe at around that point. So we want to basically rush in, try and clear these enemies out as fast as we can, and like Ephraim said, take this ship for ourselves. This middle ship is going to serve as our base going forward. Now, like I said, there is a particularly dangerous Entombed down here, so I kind of worry, because the Entombed are some of the few enemies with decent hit rates in this map. Let's see. Yeah, you guys are relatively safe. So I'm going to have Colin go down here. And here's another dangerous enemy. This White is one of the few enemies with decent stats on this map. He has a Javelin, and he's actually pretty strong. And, like I said, there's also the Entombed here, so gotta be careful. Now, Joshua with the Lance Reaver should be mostly safe here. I'm just worried about that Entombed, like I said. Though the enemies down here don't really like to rush you that much. Also got to be careful of this White. He does have more movement than you might expect, and he can be a threat to characters up on these two planks, if you're not careful. I may have learned that the hard way at least once. Here's the question. Where should Amelia go? I think if she's here, she can maybe be flexible with committing herself to either front, depending on where she needs to be. And I guess I can have Seth around here in case I need him to charge in. Well, I wouldn't give her a physics staff to heal Ross right now. Because, where should Natasha go? Guess people are going to need healing up here soon. Let's light up this. I probably should have lit up the square that the mast of the enemy ship is on. That probably would have shown more. Yeah, there are two moguls over here, but neither of them really wanted to move. Oh, we can't see that mogul anymore. I mean, I know it's around there somewhere. Other question is, what should Luke do? Because I want her to get off of this middle ship, well, not middle ship, starting ship. I don't know why I said middle. I was thinking about something that happens later in this chapter, but I want her to get off the starting ship pretty soon. So begins the enemy phase where a bunch of very, very weak enemies rush into us and do nothing. Hopefully. These enemies all have terrible hit rates for the most part and terrible damage. They're also really weak and get doubled easily. You want them all to die very, very fast. And that's why I brought Ephraim's Iron Lance. Pretty much any lance that you use here, well, any weapon in general, will one-round these zombies. So, I actually have tried this with a Slim Lance, and Ephraim still kills these things in one round. Main reason why I bought the second Iron Lance is I learnt the hard way that when I didn't, he switched to the Regenleif because that was the last thing he used against the previous boss, and I wasted way too many uses of that against stupid, useless zombies. So, obviously, that was bad, and I didn't want to keep that. Which is why I bought him an extra weapon here. We'll be seeing lots of 30s hit rates here, and I'm not particularly lucky with them. Usually you're pretty certain to dodge them in a game like this, but this game's RNG hasn't been kind to me this playthrough for some reason. The Steel Lance guys are probably the only ones with any decent damage, but their hit rates are still terrible. The Entombed are kind of scary because they have hit rates of, gasp, around 50. Yeah, that's good by this chapter's standards. and they hit fairly hard, but they don't like moving on this turn for some reason. Something I want to mention about the Regenleif, though. It's one of those things in Fire Emblem that you have to be careful of. When you've got a weapon equipped, you'll always use it throughout the rest of the enemy phase, which means if a ton of enemies rush you, you can end up wasting a weapon that you'd want to save uses on. This was interesting. This leads me back to, there was an old gaming magazine, none of you would know it, it's one that only was in Australia, but that when FE7 first came out, they basically ran a series on tips for Fire Emblem. And one of them that they talked about was that, reminding you that if you, also more moguls, sometimes you can tell what reinforcements spawn by the movement sound they make, but also reinforcements from these ships, but they're pretty terrible. But as I was saying, the, is the mogul still around there? It didn't seem like it moved. This is getting me very suspicious. I'm actually pretty worried now. But anyway, yeah, so that's GBA magazine. It was talking about, like, tips and tricks for Fire Emblem, and it mentioned the thing where if you use a weapon on your player phase, you'll still keep that equipped through the enemy phase. And that's a way to avoid wasting valuable weapons, if you know about this. But the really weird thing is that it worded it in a way that implied that if an enemy attacked you while you had a weapon equipped, the weapon would just break instantly. They worded it like, they said like, you know, if you're putting Hector with the Wolf Bale on the front line, you might lose that powerful axe. But it was said in a way that made it seem like the Wolf Bale would instantly break if a single enemy attacked Hector. So, this was before I actually played the series for myself, so, yeah. I, was a little gullible and thought that that's what it meant, that you'd actually lose the weapon outright. Okay, there are a little too many enemies here for comfort. I would appreciate there being less of them. I'd also appreciate there being less archers on this boat, because that means Cormag has free reign over the skies. That is, until the moguls come. Going on a bit of a weird tangent here. I still can't believe that I got into the Fire Emblem series by accident. I mean, in case any of you haven't heard about this, basically my parents got me Fire Emblem for my birthday, thinking that, well, they were looking for Pokemon Fire Red. Admittedly, though, it was a game that I was thinking of checking out anyway because of all of the great reviews it was getting, but still, it was kind of funny that I ended up actually getting the game itself mostly by accident. That archer, I don't like that archer. But I would like Cormag to get the entombed kill. I'd also like Ross to not die. This could end badly, but let's go for it. Wait a minute. Did Ross just take up the spot where Cormag can go that doesn't result in him getting his face shot off by the archer? No, he didn't. Okay. Now, I would really like for Joshua to try and fight this guy, because Lance Reaver is great against him, and he tends to be a spanner in the works for most of my plans. He's pretty powerful, and has a bigger movement range than I expect sometimes. But yeah, I'd much rather Cormag get the Entomb kill here, because he's a little behind on experience. Not that he really needs it, he's already strong. Like I was saying... Yeah. Like I was saying. Oh, I still can't quite get there. 4 hit rate, wow. Yeah, that's the power of the Lance Reaver. Guess I should mention that I did end up getting Fire Red for that birthday as well, so that was a good birthday. On a previous attempt, you gained strength there. Now... well, I mean, Amelia's not going to be able to fight anything anyway, so... I guess I could try sending her down this way. Once again, what I wouldn't give for a physics staff for Ross. And this is about the time when we want to be getting off of this... Do any of you have javelins? Because if that archer is the only thing that can attack loot... Wait a minute. Okay, you can go all the way up there, so you can throw javelins that far, but not there. Because like I said, if that archer is the only thing that can attack loot from behind here, that means that she should be pretty safe to go here, although I doubt the archer will actually fall for the bait. It might, though. And now let's see. Where should I... Well, I can torch your head, once again making you the Echo's Bone Walkers. Okay, there is a gargoyle over there. Oh, there's a gargoyle over there. I hope Ross doesn't get... Okay, this is actually bad. I just realized that Ross is probably going to get doubled by a lot of... Although you only have 10 speed. And some pretty heavy weapons that exceed your con. It's funny, you'd think that skeletons would have, like, non-existent con, but they do have con for some reason. And I'm going to torch up again, just to see if there are some enemies down there. Oh, there is a gargoyle. Please tell me that you're not in range of Column, because that would be really bad. And it would also be very embarrassing to have Seth, of all people, die here, so please don't die, Seth. Because that still lasted more than I expected it to. Oh, great, one of them's a sword user. Please don't double him. Wow, Ross was the one who doubled back. Although, that might be a bad thing for Ross. Because now it exposes him to more potential attacks. Seth's getting pretty lucky with dodges. The exact opposite of Amelia in another attempt of this chapter, who kept getting hit by 30s. I'm still in apprehension of that White's movement. I really don't want him to kill Ross. Pretty sure that gargoyle can reach Ross as well, so this could be touch and go. Even though I don't know why that expression is called that. Oh hey, there's a Great Knight crit. Not quite as cool as Paladin crits, but it's still pretty cool looking. Okay, you're going for Ephraim? Yeah, these Entombed are actually kind of dangerous, especially when they hit with low hit rates. Because, like, they're some of the few things on this map with a decent amount of attack power behind them. But I'm more worried about that White. Well, I mean, Ephraim got some good level ups before that. I can't really complain. I mean, a hit wouldn't have helped you there anyway. So I would really like for... It's so annoying. It's always annoying when the AI just stalls out, moving the people who could potentially kill someone. Oh, please don't get hit. Thank you. Well, no doubling, but I don't like that. Come on, please don't kill me, White. Please don't kill me, White. Okay, Ephraim does need healing. But whenever the AI just waits before... Well, it would have killed, but at least it missed. So, there's another reason why you want this ship to be cleared out as much as possible before this turn. Another ship, except this one's one of ours. The vile vessel of Villainy. And, Reneka's obviously gone. He must have ditched them back at the port again. And that's why your starting boat is not a safe place anymore. The boss, for some reason, doesn't start on the map to begin with, but he's a death goyle with some pretty decent stats and a short spear. He also brought a couple of gargoyle cohorts with him. So, yeah, that's why I said you want to get off your starting ship quickly. Also, now we're in some trouble down here as well, but the one who's in the most trouble is Ross. Thankfully, he has an elixir. So, the other reason why you want to make sure this ship is clear is so that LaRachel is safe. Because at the moment, if you've done a good job clearing out this ship, the only enemies that should be in range of her are moguls, and she takes almost, well, she pretty much takes no damage from them, even at her base level. Though, this guy has to go now. Definitely now. Because otherwise he's going to be able to attack Rachel. Oh, that's actually kind of impressive. Although, moguls. 13 attack power-ish, you've got 9 resistance, not terrible, but, I'd much rather be safe than sorry here. I know Amelia needs the experience more, but, like I said, I'd much rather be safe than sorry. I don't want to have to do this chapter over if I can help it. Ross really, really needs healing. And Cormag needs to really get away from these things, because their damage adds up on him pretty fast. So many moguls. See, this is where you can easily get trapped by moguls, and that's where things get problematic. But, well, speaking of problematic, I need to heal Ephraim, so I pretty much definitely have to use the elixir for Ross. Okay, who wants the Entombed? You know what, I guess Amelia's probably the best one to take out that Entombed. I just need to make sure that Gargoyle goes down. Ducel's not going to do it. Which means that by extension, you're probably not going to do it. I'm going to need a twofold attack here. Which is going to be a little annoying, because it means that I... Well, Amelia does exactly enough to finish off this guy. One less gargoyle's always a good thing with their annoying high movement ranges. I'm so glad they're not Echo's gargoyles, though, who are... just, like, Echo's gargoyles aren't that big of a threat, but their speed and the way that doubling works in that game makes it so that they're surprisingly durable, and that's very annoying for such a high movement enemy that likes to attack in large numbers. Oh, right, Amelia can no longer fight that guy. Let me... I guess that'll actually get Cormag out of Mogul range for a little bit. And Cormag's probably my best bet at fighting the boss in his group as well. Once again, not that Cormag needs the Entomb kills, but, yeah. Cormag is pretty amazing. Wyvern Riders in the series have a tendency to be amazing, but, Cormag is, I mean, I'd say he's good even by their standards, but, I mean, the standards are themselves are quite high. Alright, I needed to heal, and I need that guy to go. Can Seth kill you? No. Guess this gargoyle is acting like Echo's gargoyles being annoyingly hard to double. Though I bet Ephraim will be able to. Yes, he will. Except I don't like the idea of Ephraim getting hit by 4 moguls. Because as ridiculously powerful... Actually, 9 resistance is not bad. I was thinking it was like 3 or something. Actually, Ephraim getting hit by 4 moguls might work in my favor. Of course, first Tana has to try and kill at least one of them. There is just one of them that she won't be able to kill, and it's unfortunately the one that's closest to us. Which one of these two? I guess we should go for this one. Do need to get rid of that archer as well, especially since he's near Cormag. Yeah, I think I did use Tana's elixir. Yeah, I must have, because it had 2 uses before. I was like, wait a minute, wasn't she really low on health? How'd she get heals? Concentrating on quite a few things at once in this chapter, which is getting some things that I'm doing. Actually, just to be... I turned into a snake there, but okay, yeah, no, that is going to be safe. It's probably one of the weirder things that I've said, but anyway. Just realized about those things. The Death Coil is surprisingly capable of doubling people with his short spear, and that's not something that you want to get doubled by. Speaking of getting doubled, hi there, Gargoyle, have some doubling. So there are a couple of gargoyles above Rachel's. I just realized I need to get Ephraim over to Rachel to recruit her so that it's less for actually having her on my side and more so that she doesn't be an idiot and run off in bad directions. But there are a couple of gargoyles right here. Dosler just one-shots them all, so it's not that much of a problem. And yeah, I did that specifically because Loot should double these guys. Well, she doubles that guy, and then there's the Archer, and then Giselle also doubles these guys. Who should Giselle kill? I guess Loot has to go here regardless. Because I kind of like Loot to be in range of a few of these things. They probably won't attack her, but if they do, it's good for me. In this case, that means that Giselle should kill this guy then. That's technically the more sure shot, but I'm going to go for this. Oh, hey, you're actually doing damage to Giselle. That's impressive. And now Loot will swing around the side of... Nothing can attack her from there, right? Yeah, Loot's going to swing around the side and go for... Of course Loot doesn't double you! Oh, at least Seth's here. Probably should have checked Loot's doubling ability before. Okay, the Moguls are still down there, which is something that I really don't like, and I want to keep Ross out of range of that guy as well. But I actually have to use Seth here, otherwise Cormac's going to get shot by a bow. Like I said, want to keep Ross out of range of the Steel Sword. Also want to keep him out of the range of these Moguls. See, yeah, this is why this chapter can become a problem later on, because you can get boxed in relatively easily. This is why I like clearing out this chapter as quick... the central boat as quickly as possible and using it as a base. But now, here's where we have another problem. I need to keep Colum safe. Because the gargoyle down... Yes, this guy with the steel lance. This was the guy who one-shotted Colum in an earlier attempt. I think he's actually fine going around here. I don't think I need the torch. Okay, I think Joshua should be fine. That's good. That saves the use of the Lance Reaver. Okay, good thing that you weren't in range to actually attack her. You were, though! Although, you're actually not doing that much damage. Okay, good one, doubling with the Javelin. That's nice, considering how ridiculously it weighs you down. I can't wait until she's a Wyvern Knight and actually has decent con. Yeah, only 5 damage. I don't know why I was worried about these guys attacking Ephraim. I was probably thinking about Ike back in Radiant Dawn, who is normally a completely unstoppable force of destruction, except against mages. That's like his one weakness. His other weakness being not being Ha. Okay, let's see where you guys are going. Yeah, against Amelia, this shouldn't be too bad. I mean, they're not really doing very much damage to anyone, except for Cormac, really. And anything that does decent damage to Cormac is a bad thing. Joshua's dodging pretty well, though. Okay, you're moving now. That might be... well, overkill, but... that thing was no threat to Rachel, and I think there are some gargoyles up here. I'll have to check. Ephraim should be focusing on getting there, but... hi there, gargoyles. Hi there, more gargoyles. So this is actually the real tricky part of the chapter. At this point, the only enemies left, well, apart from this guy, but he doesn't matter. The only enemies left are flyers. And obviously that is very, very bad. Because now, pretty much nowhere is safe. Oh, hey, Ross is actually doubling something. And Fog of War plus Flyers is not good. At least this isn't Arcadia from FE6, which combines Fog of War, Flyer Reinforcements, and Desert, in a combination that Intelligent Systems has very thankfully realized was an awful idea and something they should never ever do again. Humanity does not deserve to be subjected to such pain. There's a lot of moguls up there. Okay, Iron Lance. Well, that does enough. See, this is why you want flyers in this chapter. Ephraim, though, I think he needs to get on his way to be recruiting Rachel. Again, not so much because I want to be able to use her, but more for the fact that I just don't want her to be stupid with her AI. Wait a minute. Oh, you only have 6 movement, despite being a flyer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't even reach loot if she goes there. And you have a Steel Lance, which means, yep, you're getting doubled. I'm probably going to speed big loot eventually. It's just, I really don't like her getting this. She's not meant to be this slow. See, now I can't see where the boss is, and he does start moving around now-ish. He doesn't move in his first turn, but he definitely moves, like I said, around now-ish. Don't want you around all those gargoyles. Let's have you fight off some more eyeballs. Can you imagine how bad this chapter would be if the moguls could split like they could in Echoes? Admittedly, the split mechanic takes a little bit of mercy on you with the fact that they don't always split. Because if they did, it would be really... yeah. It would be Tearing Saga, that one map in Tearing Saga that we should never ever speak about again. People have asked me if I want to do Tearing Saga. I probably will do Tearing Saga at one point. I was waiting for a better translation patch to come out, and one thankfully has come out. Which is great. So, I probably will do Tearing Saga at some point. I really do like that game, but one of its strong points, that map is not. At all. That map is just downright horrendous, and probably the worst designed Fire Emblem style map I've ever seen in my life. And it has a lot of competition. I mean, Arcadia from FE6 is pretty bad. But that one somehow manages to be even worse. Just a quick preview. Swamps that hinder your movements and damage you, just like Guidance Swamps. Around 50 or so moguls, all of which can divide. A boss that can spawn 4 more of them per turn. And... yeah, that's pretty much all that needs to be said. And the victory condition being to, for some very bizarre... well, I mean, the character you're playing as is a pirate, so it makes sense, is to open all the map's chests. And the thing about that is that one of the chests is hidden in a path through a wall. In a map that's already that irritating. Like, it's not a particularly difficult map, it's just so tedious. It took me 3.5 hours to beat that map the first time I played. And I think that was even with turning animations off. Although I don't think moguls in that game even have animations to begin with. So anyway, yeah. So, you're in for a treat if I do get around to doing that game, because that map is just one of the most horrifying things I've ever seen. Okay, you guys can't even reach loot. Suppose I've got nothing to lose by having Cormac impale its eyeball. I love being able to one-shot these things. But there are more moguls coming because I didn't kill the 2 down there early. I think Natasha should probably heal rather than use the torch staff. I really hope there aren't any gargoyles above Rachel's position, because that would be really bad. Natasha's not really getting that much magic on this route, which is annoying. And Column... I suppose he can try and light up this area a bit. Look, now I can no longer see the gargoyles. Nice dodge there. Let's just finish off these guys. Exactly a 3-shot, which is pretty cool. Surprised that javelin hasn't broken yet. Would have been funny if it broke there, but it didn't. Nice dodge there too. But when the boss comes, that's going to be bad, because I know he doubles Ross. And so Dozler is on the part of the map that he's not that great in. Even though he's still pretty great in this map overall, it's just that moguls can actually hurt him. Yep, there's the boss. And splat. Double crit. I don't think Ephraim can even reach. Well, I wouldn't give a teddies here. And now I can't see the boss, and there's also a mogul over there that I can't see. I suppose I can have loot hit you just to keep her away from the boss, because I know he's going to double her because my loot's got stupidly speed screwed. It's funny, though, how for a route chapter, this one's actually surprisingly quick. Okay, that guy's already weakened. There is a mogul around there, though. You know what? I'm actually just going to... If worst comes to worst, I'm going to have to rescue Natasha. Let's see where the boss is. Oh, that's more moguls than I thought there'd be. And, of course, he can actually reach her. And I definitely know that guy doubles Ross, so... But I want that thing to die. It's just that with all the moguls plus the boss doubling him, I don't fancy Ross's chances of survival around there. Joshua with the Lance Reaver, though. That'd work. Okay, if you go here, will Natasha be safe? I think she's actually pretty safe at this point. Yes. Good. No, Joshua is damaged. Oh, also, speaking of both Joshua and Natasha, they actually have unlocked a B support by now. I just haven't had an opportunity to actually do it. That was totally unnecessary. Didn't even save a Lance Reaver use. Strength. I would have liked strength there. But yeah, with the Lance Reaver, Joshua should be okay here. Okay, moguls won't be able to get Cormag here, so he can finish that guy off. And there's no chance of all the enemies dying on this enemy phase, which means that I can still show off Dozler and Rachel's recruitment conversations. They're another case of they automatically join at the end of the chapter anyway if they survive, but in this case I definitely want to recruit them in this chapter. Okay, as long as you stay out of range, go on top of that barrel, and what? You have a steel lance. Guess I could just say that the music sounds like it's laughing at one point. It sounds like it's going ha ha ha. Not really sure where to put Amelia. I would have liked for her to get a little bit more experience out of this chapter, but I got some okay experience out of it already. 23. And 8. Yeah, I'm not really gonna... That's not good. she's going to have to go back up here-ish. And Natasha is still safe, which is good. I was gonna say something that I would be safe at this point unless, but I don't want to say the unless because that would be a very stupid idea. I know not to tempt. I know to not tempt fate. That's quite a lot of damage, and that was a good one to dodge. Then I was fully prepared to say, and that's of course the one you don't dodge. Because of my luck with 35, so... Ah, hi, Mogul! Didn't notice you were there. Yeah, this is one of the annoying things about Fog of War. At least that didn't happen to someone very severely weakened. Okay, even if Joshua gets hit a few times, there's no chance that the Gargoyle's going to hit him with the Lance Reaver equipped. Unless there's, like, another Mogul down there or something. Though that could also be tempting fate. I think... Yeah, like I said, absolutely no chance of him getting hit. I thought you'd go for Ross. So yeah, Ross does get doubled by this guy. Nice double dodge, though. Oh, that's good. Maybe Ross's luck is starting to turn around. The bad thing is, though, Ross, who has a 30% speed growth, has the same speed as Lute, who has a 45% speed growth, and I'm pretty sure better base speed. So, this is... yeah, I don't like this. Speaking of things I don't like, that boss has to go now. But, I mean, it should be not too hard. Firstly, though, let's go ahead and get this sorted. And once again, she's hammy. And yeah, Ephraim hasn't actually met her before. Well, at least not really in person. He's seen her once before, but he never got her name. Just briefly. Yes, amazement at one person not actually knowing who you are. So, we now have LaRachel. LaRachel is pretty much the exact same as she is on Erica's route. Joins in the same chapter, has the same base stats, pretty much the same general role. The main difference is she comes with a white gem in her inventory on this route, so that's an extra 10,000 gold for you. And we can now recruit Dosler. This recruitment conversation is nowhere near as good as it was back on Erica's route, though. Oh, he actually said princess. Huh, we're not supposed to know that yet. Not that she makes much of an effort to hide it. So yeah, that one's not nearly as good as it was back on Erica's route, like I said. But I'm not really concerned... well, actually, also, Dosler. Dosler is also the exact same. Really nothing much else to say. Okay, now I can talk about what I'm mainly concerned with, and that's, I need to make sure that boss is gone now. I still can't believe Lute is getting doubled by that boss. It's just, oh, Lute is not supposed to be this slow. Okay, that's one down. Oh, I could try an 8 damage. I need to do 20 somehow. That's almost 20. That's exactly 20! That's actually pretty awesome, because I really like Decel and Amelia support, so having the two of them work together to finish the boss is just perfect. I'm gonna just have you swing around behind this guy and take him down. Another benefit of flyers. Although I do admit that in most strategy RPGs, flying classes tend to be pretty overpowered. It's kind of hard to balance a class like that. When I think about ways to do it, it's kind of hard to find any of them. Just the ability to ignore terrain and just move anywhere regardless of impediments is just way too good. Even if you gave them, like, terrible movement, it's still pretty amazing. Okay, so let's finish you off. This should work. This should definitely work! You wanted to impress to sell there. And depending on how things go, I might be able to clear up the rest of the enemies. That wasn't the best, but it was okay. And a short spear, which you can actually use. Although I would probably prefer that on Tana. Speaking of Tana, let's... I mean, I'll need to... Oh, you lost your hand axe, didn't you? Which means I might not be able to finish off all the enemies this turn. Or am I? If Ross gets this one, he actually doubles. Probably because he has 10 speed. I can't believe Ross's speed's actually finally caught up. Now, you can only attack these things. Okay, it's still got 7 uses left? I'm pretty surprised. I thought it would be much more worse for wear now. Either of them is fine. And with Joshua getting the other one, even though you can't see the number of enemies, you'll know that this is the last enemy if the victory is near theme plays. Yep, this is the last enemy. Nice. So, all I need to do is just get a little bit of last-minute healing experience into Natasha, and I'm set. Or, I have time for a support. Should I? Maybe I should save it to the next chapter. I probably should. I mean, they're going to be together in the next chapter anyway. It's already the end of one chapter. I might as well just finish this one up. I should also mention this chapter is also one of the quote-unquote filler chapters. Just like Erica's chapter 11, this one didn't exist in the beta version, and it doesn't have its own world map location. Though in this case, it makes sense for this map not to have a world map location, since you're in the middle of the ocean and on a ship that's probably going to be destroyed after this. So that's it. Like I said, for a route chapter, it's actually not that long. I really don't think that we owe our victory to you at all. You didn't even do anything. Remember, she has met Erica before. Oh, I guess she never really got Erica's name back there. So, yeah. She just figured out Ephraim as a prince. And off-screen exposition. Well, I mean, considering you're leading them, it's actually pretty high. I would be if it weren't for the fact that your Berserker guy already said it. So, on this route, you find out she's the princess right when you recruit her. She does a pretty terrible job of hiding it, like I said before. I still really want her in Heroes. So, now we have, well, let's just say a few countries allied together. A certain reveal that happens on Erica's route that doesn't happen here means that I can't quite say something. And, of course, Dosler goes too. And so that ends the Phantom Ship chapter. Next time, we'll be heading straight into chapter 12, which is actually going to be a fairly long one, I think. So, see you then. Now the moment of truth. Oh, of course that would happen. Yeah, that's not a good start. That's a very bad start. Dodge everything else, please? Okay, that's one successful dodge. But I am worried about the Entombed. It may even do the 18 damage outright. And the Entombed surprisingly have decent hit rates in this chapter. Just an Iron Sword. Thankfully, also a miss. So yeah, hit rates on most of these enemies are pretty bad, but if you get unlucky, it can end badly. Of course, that would hit. Now I definitely need to dodge the Entombed. And the Archer might end up hitting her as well. This is probably a bad idea, but definitely need to dodge the Entombed. Good. My heart skipped a beat there. Yeah, that was almost... Actually... Oh, that's not good. If the Archer hits her, that could be bad. Oh, I needed to dodge... If that first 35 hadn't hit, that would have been fine. I should know not to trust my luck with this recording session. Hey, +1 speed and +1 defense. Will that be enough? Will that be enough? Moment of truth time. Oh, great, more gargoyle. Oh, that's not good. Well, it missed, but by all rights, I probably should have had to have restarted. I underestimated your movement range. Wow. Not really.